Why is the name James Alexander suddenly at the center of royal debate? Some are even asking if he could become a prince. But nothing about this story is simple. So what's really going on? And why is it causing confusion everywhere? Let's break it down. 10:15 a.m. London, 14 degrees C. A light fog hanging over the city as the world outside continues its routine. But behind the heavy iron gates of Buckingham Palace, something far less ordinary is unfolding. No cameras, no public announcement, no ceremonial spectacle, just silence. And a single document that is about to shift the structure of the monarchy in a way we haven't seen in decades. Inside room 1844, a quiet but historic moment is taking place. A vellum document rests on the table, a red wax seal is prepared, and a signature is being finalized that will officially change the status of a young royal who, until today, had deliberately stayed in the background. As of this morning, May 5th, 2026, James Alexander Philip Theo Mountbatten Windsor has formally accepted the style of His Royal Highness and the title of Prince. And if this moment feels significant, it's because it is. This is not a routine birthday update or symbolic gesture. This is a structural shift inside the House of Windsor, the kind that doesn't happen often, the kind that only occurs when the institution itself decides to recalibrate its future. For months, whispers inside the palace suggested something was building. Small signals, quiet meetings, unconfirmed reports of internal planning sessions. But today, those whispers have ended. The silence has been replaced with action. To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand what it represents. Under the 1917 letters patent, James was already entitled to the style of prince the moment King Charles III ascended the throne. Legally, the title was always there, but for years, it remained unused. He lived as the Earl of Wessex, deliberately positioned away from the full intensity of royal visibility. Even when he turned 18 in December 2025, no formal elevation came. The world expected it, the palace didn't deliver it, and James himself didn't demand it. That silence lasted 140 days. In an era where identity is instantly broadcast, branded, and monetized, that delay raises a deeper question. Why would someone born into privilege actively pause their own elevation? Why step away from visibility when the world is built around attention? According to insiders, James was never in a hurry. A senior palace aide once described him as someone who doesn't accept status automatically, but instead waits until he understands how to carry it. That mindset is not accidental, it is learned. Much of that philosophy is credited to Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. Her approach to raising her children has long been described as unconventional within royal circles. Instead of shielding them entirely from the world or immersing them fully in royal privilege, she reportedly chose a middle path. A grounded upbringing that emphasized normality over elevation. Her belief was simple. Before learning how to stand on a balcony, a royal should learn how to stand in a queue. That philosophy shaped James in ways that are now becoming visible. While other members of the family were introduced to public life through ceremony and protection, James was exposed to something else entirely. Ordinary life, public transport, daily routines, real-world environments without constant layers of protection or symbolism. But this wasn't neglect, it was strategy. Behind palace walls, this approach is now being described as identity stealth mode, a deliberate attempt to prevent early exposure to fame from distorting personal development. The idea was not to deny him royal status, but to lay its psychological impact until he was mature enough to handle it, and it worked. Academically, James pursued systems engineering, a choice that already sets him apart from traditional royal educational paths. While many royals lean toward history, politics, or ceremonial studies, James moved toward structured problem-solving, data systems, and analytical frameworks. In other words, he doesn't just understand the monarchy as tradition, he understands it as a system, and that is where things begin to shift. Because this morning's decision wasn't just about a title, it was about function. Security protocols were immediately updated, government departments were notified, internal classification systems adjusted his status. What looks like a symbolic elevation is actually an operational upgrade within the institution. But the most interesting part of James's development is not just academic or structural, it is behavioral. During the late Queen Elizabeth II's vigil in Westminster Hall in 2022, James stood for 15 uninterrupted minutes. No movement, no distraction, no visible discomfort. Observers noted something unusual. Not performance, but discipline. A kind of internal stillness rarely seen in someone so young. That discipline, according to insiders, traces back to his grandfather, Prince Philip. Between 2018 and 2020, Philip reportedly spent extensive private time with James at Balmoral. On paper, these were fishing trips. In reality, they were lessons in observation, patience, and emotional control. Philip was not teaching entertainment. He was teaching endurance. The core principle was stoicism, the ability to remain steady under pressure while absorbing everything around you without reaction. In Philip's view, modern royalty didn't need more visibility. It needed resilience. That mindset is now embedded in James's profile, and it matters more today than ever before, because the monarchy he is stepping into is not the monarchy of the past. It is a modern institution under constant global scrutiny, digital commentary, and media acceleration. Every decision is analyzed, every movement is interpreted, and every silence is filled with speculation. Inside that environment, two competing models of royalty now exist. One model is visibility-driven, high engagement, media presence, emotional narrative, and global attention cycles. The other is function-driven, low visibility, high impact, structural contribution, and institutional stability. James represents the second model. That distinction becomes even clearer when viewed alongside broader royal dynamics, particularly after the departure of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from working royal duties. Their absence created a visible gap in public engagement strategy, especially with younger audiences. For a time, that gap was filled by narrative-driven media coverage. But James's emergence changes that equation. Instead of replacing personality with personality, the institution is replacing narrative dependency with functional capability. In other words, the monarchy is not trying to create another public-facing celebrity figure. It is building a systems-oriented operator within the structure itself. That shift was already visible earlier this year during James's South Africa engagement. Unlike traditional tours, this visit did not rely heavily on staged visuals or media-heavy appearances. Instead, much of his time was spent in technical briefings with conservation scientists and data analysts working on environmental systems. No performative speeches, no excessive media presence, just structured engagement with real-world systems. That approach is now being described internally as low signal, high service, and it may define the next decade of the monarchy. What makes this moment even more significant is James's emerging relationship with the Prince of Wales. According to internal reports, he has already been quietly involved in advisory capacities linked to modernization initiatives, particularly around digital infrastructure and institutional reform. In simple terms, he is not just becoming a prince in title, he is becoming part of the operational framework of the future king's long-term vision. This is where the real strategic importance lies. Because the monarchy is no longer just managing tradition, it is managing transformation, and transformation requires people who understand systems, not just symbolism. James represents that shift. A royal trained not only in duty, but in structure, not only in tradition, but in function, not only in presence, but in execution. And as the document in room 1844 is sealed, one reality becomes clear. This is not the end of a process, it is the beginning of a new operating model for the monarchy itself. The question now is not whether James is ready to be a prince. The question is what kind of monarchy he is being built to serve. And as London moves on with its day, unaware of the full weight of what has just changed behind closed doors, one thing is certain. The silence inside the palace was never empty. It was preparation. Now, I want to ask you this. Do you think this new generation of royals represents real modernization or a carefully controlled reinvention of power? Let me know in the comments. And if you want deeper breakdowns like this, subscribe to Fame Exposed, because here, we don't just report the story, we decode the system behind it.